Are you an American? We don't want you here. Surprised? Let's delve into this together. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 countries where you might not feel particularly welcome in 2024. We'll look into why that is and what could happen if you were to venture there regardless. From political tensions to cultural differences, the reasons are as complex as they are surprising. So, buckle up as we embark on this unusual journey. Starting the countdown at number 10 is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, known for its oil reserves and strict adherence to Islamic law, doesn't have the warmest relationship with America. This complex dynamic is fueled by a mix of political and cultural differences. Saudi Arabia operates under an absolute monarchy, a stark contrast to America's democratic system, and this can create friction. Furthermore, the country's strict interpretation of Islamic law, known as Wahhabism, can be misunderstood and cause unease. Disagreements on international issues, such as the handling of the Yemen crisis and the global oil market, have also strained the relationship. And let's not forget, the murder of the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a resident of the US, which sent shockwaves worldwide, further cooling relations between the two nations. If you do decide to visit, be prepared for a vastly different cultural experience, and be aware of the potential political tensions. Moving on, number 9 is Somalia. Somalia, a country struggling with internal conflict and instability, is not a safe haven for Americans. The nation, located in the Horn of Africa, has been grappling with internal strife for years, making it a hostile environment for foreign visitors, especially Americans. The security concerns in Somalia are numerous and complex. Frequent terrorist attacks by the extremist group Al-Shabaab, coupled with political instability, make the country quite perilous for Americans. The U.S. government's travel advisory rates Somalia as a level 4, do not travel destination, citing kidnapping, bombings, and other violent incidents as potential risks. Furthermore, anti-American sentiments are not uncommon in Somalia. The country's tumultuous history with foreign intervention, particularly from the West, has fueled a hostile environment towards Americans. These sentiments, combined with the country's overall instability, contribute to the unwelcoming atmosphere for American visitors. Next on the list at number 8 is Cuba. Cuba, despite its beautiful beaches and vibrant culture, has a complex history with America that's not easily forgotten. This island nation, just 90 miles off the coast of Florida, has been a hotspot of political tension since the Cold War era. The Cuban Missile Crisis of the early 60s, an event that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war, is still a potent symbol of these strained relations. Fast forward to 2024, the situation isn't much different. The U.S. continues to uphold a trade embargo against Cuba, a policy that has been in place for over 60 years. The result? An economic hardship for Cubans and a travel headache for Americans. Despite some efforts to normalize relations, the political climate remains frosty, and American tourists often find themselves less than welcomed. So, if you're an American thinking about sipping mojitos on a Cuban beach, you might want to rethink your vacation plans. Coming up next at number 7 is China. China, the world's most populous country, has a complicated relationship with America, to say the least. A dynamic blend of economic competition and political rivalry has challenged the bond between these two superpowers. Over the past few years, we've seen the economic tug-of-war intensify, with trade disputes, tariffs, and the notorious tech wars dominating headlines. On the political front, matters are no less complex. The issues surrounding Taiwan, the South China Sea, human rights, and cyber espionage continue to fuel tension and mutual suspicion. The ideological differences between democracy and communism further strain this intricate relationship. As an American, if you do find yourself in China, be aware that the political climate can be unpredictable. You may face additional scrutiny, and it's advisable to stay informed about current affairs and maintain a low profile. As we continue our countdown, we move from the hustle and bustle of Beijing to the frosty landscapes of Moscow. Moving ahead, number 6 is Russia. Russia, with its cold climate and colder political relations with America, is next on our list. The frosty relationship between Russia and America has been marked by decades of political tension, with the Cold War casting a long shadow over their interactions. In recent years, the bonds have been strained further due to accusations of cyber warfare, with Russia allegedly meddling in America's political processes. Distrust and suspicion have become the defining factors of this relationship, making Russia a less welcoming destination for Americans. The political tensions are palpable and have seeped into the common people's attitudes. It's not only the frosty winters you need to prepare for when considering a visit to Russia, but also the frosty receptions. Despite the cultural richness and historical significance that Russia offers, the strained political relations cast a cloud of uncertainty for Americans. But remember, this is just a general perspective, and individual experiences may vary greatly. Next up at number 5 is Syria. Syria, a country ravaged by civil war, is not a safe place for Americans. As we speak, the flames of conflict continue to flicker, casting a somber shadow over the nation. The ongoing civil war has created a hostile environment, riddled with security concerns that pose significant risks to foreigners, especially Americans. The U.S. government has issued stern warnings to its citizens, advising against travel to Syria due to terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, and armed conflict. The situation is so volatile that the U.S. embassy operations in Syria have been suspended since 2012, leaving no consular services available for U.S. citizens in Syria. In addition to the security risks, there exists a palpable anti-American sentiment, fueled by political disagreements and wartime propaganda. This hostile environment can turn a seemingly innocuous visit into a perilous journey. So unless absolutely necessary, it's best to keep Syria off your travel list for now. Moving on, number 4 is Yemen. Yemen, another country torn by civil war, poses severe risks for Americans. A nation grappling with political unrest and sectarian violence, Yemen presents a highly unstable environment that is far from welcoming towards Americans. The ongoing conflict, rooted in a complex web of political, religious, and tribal disputes, has created a volatile landscape that is fraught with danger. Security concerns are paramount, with rebel groups and extremist factions often targeting foreigners. The U.S. State Department has issued a Level 4 travel advisory for Yemen, which is the highest level of advisory, indicating a severe threat to personal safety. The hostility towards Americans in Yemen is further fueled by anti-American sentiments, which have been exacerbated by years of U.S. involvement in the Middle East. The consequences of venturing into Yemen as an American can be dire, ranging from discrimination and harassment to abduction and even violence. Next on the list at number 3 is Venezuela. Venezuela, a country in economic crisis, has a strained relationship with America. This South American nation, rich in oil, has been grappling with a severe economic meltdown. Skyrocketing inflation, scarcity of basic commodities, and a plummeting currency have led to a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. Political instability underpins this economic chaos. The country is deeply divided, with 2 political factions claiming the presidency and a population caught in the crossfire of this power struggle. The United States, on the other hand, has not stood idle. It has imposed numerous sanctions on Venezuela, targeting its oil industry and government officials. These measures, aimed at pressuring the government to restore democracy, have further strained relations between the 2 nations. For Americans, traveling to Venezuela under these circumstances is fraught with risks. The political tension, economic instability, and the lack of basic services make it a daunting prospect. Moving on to the final 2, number 2 is Iran. Iran, a country with deep-rooted animosity towards America, is second on our list. This Middle Eastern nation has a complex and fraught history with the United States. The seeds of this discord were sown decades ago, and the relationship has remained rocky ever since. The political tensions between the 2 nations have only escalated in recent years, leading to a palpable sense of hostility towards Americans within Iran's borders. The current state of U.S.-Iran relations is, to put it mildly, a precarious one. There are numerous factors at play, from nuclear deals gone sour, to accusations of meddling in internal affairs, to economic sanctions that have strained the Iranian economy. For an American, visiting Iran in 2024 might not only be met with a cold shoulder, but could potentially pose serious risks. And finally, the number 1 country where Americans are least welcome is North Korea. North Korea, the Hermit Kingdom, tops our list as the least welcoming country for Americans. Known for its reclusive nature and stringent control over information, North Korea has been a hotbed of political tensions and nuclear threats. The relationship between the United States and North Korea has been fraught with conflict, marked by nuclear tests, missile launches, and intense rhetoric. Despite attempts at diplomacy, the 2 nations have been unable to bridge their differences. In 2024, the situation remains largely unchanged. Americans who venture into North Korea face several risks. The U.S. government strongly advises against travel to North Korea due to the serious risk of arrest and long-term detention of U.S. nationals. The country's strict laws and regulations, its unpredictable enforcement, and the harsh penalties for violating these rules make North Korea a risky destination for any American. And there you have it, the top 10 countries where Americans might not feel particularly welcome in 2024.